That's a great question. I think economic incentives always come into place because that's the human nature, right? So like was started as like as a reward. So like as a reward where we want to promote the idea or educating the public about, hey, content should be paid in some sort of way and your content should be rewarded. Just like how much like you receive on Facebook, they're just up in the air. What if it could be like a real reward? So that was like a really early idea in 2017. I think we also change it, evolve along with the social context that we are in. I think at least nowadays, journalists in my area or in Southeast Asia, they're fully aware that their stuff cannot be stored on centralized storage. It's not something that we educate in or we give them money to do so, but because they experience firsthand of how their stuff could be disappeared in one day. So I think that's a little bit different in terms of social context. So I think that rely on what kind of experience they have in their own society. So that's the first thing. And the second thing is, yes, I think economic incentive is still very important as well. And that's why we offer not just like the tokenomic incentives, right? But also how they can own a piece of NFT, let's say, of their memories, of their blogs, or even book NFT. We recently had a campaign on book NFT, and people are actually exploring this in this format. We are not actually looking into that kind of NFT hyped it, flipped it, inflated price model. We are actually looking for something. How much would you like to pay for this kind of content that you preserve, you liking it, or you want to subscribe to authors? How much would you pay? You'll be surprised people are actually willing to pay than we thought in terms of something they value. So when I say value, it means the value of collective memories. It could be non-economic incentive driven kind of value. So I think that's the most fascinating part that we discover, especially because we started as reward campaign, become now more on decentralized publishing, more on integrity, content preservation, and now towards the not new understanding, but more reinforced on the value of the non-economic side. Because you can imagine there are still a lot of people are actually paying for content, I believe, especially if I think you're in the podcast. I've been paying a lot for audiobooks, for newsletter. Because if you are a person that actually consume a lot of this kind of content, you will see good content actually need to be sustained with someone willing to pay. And I think we actually gathered a community that had this similar mindset along the years. And I do believe these kind of people exist. If those people who tell you they won't come in for incentives, I would say they are not our target audience for now, but there are still majority of people who are willing to do so, especially if you see the rise of Patreon. They are actually paying just for the content. They don't really have incentives on economic side where their content would be flipped in terms of like the NFT hyped up market. So I think we should take a balance of that, where would economic incentive driven social network will be a sustainable model for people or real users to stay. I think the more we see it is not the answers. It needs to be a hybrid of truly find out what people actually care and what they value.